With me now is CTV royal commentator Afia Hagan. Good morning, Afia. Good to see you.
Good morning.
So, why has Prince Harry decided to attend the Invictus Games without Meghan and the children? What are the security concerns that he's speaking about?
Well, the events that Prince Harry is coming to the UK for this week are a 1 year to go celebration of the Invictus Games that's taking place in Birmingham, and he'll also be doing some other charity work. So at the moment, he's decided that he won't be coming to London with Meghan and the children because of these specific security concerns. Now, Prince Harry has long been in discussion with RAVEC, that's the body that looks after royal figures and people in the public eye, like Prime Ministers and ex-Prime Ministers, about his security. So when he stepped back as a working royal, he wasn't given the same security that he was as when he was a working royal. Now, he wanted to be able to pay for that, but that is not possible because RAVEC is funded by the taxpayer, and he can't necessarily go in and say, I have some money, I would like to pay for this particular security. He does have his own private security teams, but he doesn't have necessarily the same intelligence that RAVEC or the Metropolitan Police would be privy to. And therefore, because there hasn't been a review of that security, that hasn't been done since 2019, there hasn't been a proper security review taking in the threats that he and Meghan and the children may face now. RAVEC said they'll decide his security on a case-by-case basis, but they haven't done a review of his security since 2019. And so therefore, because that hasn't been updated, they haven't decided whether they will put security in place for himself and his family, especially when they are in London. And so because he doesn't feel that the security will be enough for him and for Meghan and the children, he's decided that they won't be coming to London. Now, that doesn't mean to say perhaps they won't come to another part of the United Kingdom, possibly royal properties out with London, or they may be with him at the Invictus Games event in Birmingham. We just don't know that yet, but what we do know is that Meghan and the children, with the security where it stands today, won't be coming to London. As I say, there hasn't been a review of that security since 2019. Will that happen over the next 48 hours? We don't know. Government departments don't usually move that quickly. But perhaps if that happens and they review it and they decide that actually they do need this protection while they're in London, then that could go ahead. But like I said, within the next 48 hours, it looks unlikely, but you never know.
Right. So
much as I think everything else he's done, he's created himself, and everything else that he's done, he's completely on his own back. On this, I actually agree with him, and let me explain why. So are you aware, for example, that every Prime Minister in this country who is still living gets a full security detail for life? So people like John Major, who stopped being Prime Minister back in the mid-90s, 30 years ago, still gets a full security detail. Liz Truss, who was Prime Minister for 43 days, gets a full security detail and will do for the rest of her life. And that applies to many people that have held senior positions in public life in this country. So irrespective of what you think of Harry and Meghan, they are part of the royal family. They would have a target on their head, and surely they are as deserving of security details and security contacts as people like John Major, Boris Johnson, Liz Truss, and every other Prime Minister, Tony Blair, Gordon Brown, etc., etc. And therefore, taking that away from them just smacks of pettiness, bitterness, and has been done deliberately to shaft them. And I'm not a hypocrite. I don't believe that's the right way to go about things. I think it's petty and wrong to take away from them something that they clearly do need security, and to take away from them something that everyone else in public life at a senior level, and not even as senior as them, gets. And that's why, purely on this basis, not on everything else he's done, but purely on this particular argument, I think he's in the right. And I think he's got the right to have the ump and be pissed off with his family, with the government, and with MI5, MI6, etc., who provide this security for him.
But do you think Prince Harry should be on that list, on that protected list?
Yes. So there you go, that's cutting straight to the chase. And I'm not supposed to talk about these things, but I think the way he's been treated, and this, whether you like the Duke of Sussex or not, or Prince Harry, or however you want to refer to him, isn't really the issue. There are plenty of people on that list that people will have very polarizing views on. They're on that list because of the reasons we've just said. There is either a threat to them, and that threat is so high, and the risk of the way that they work so high, and the impact of anything happening to them so high, that that risk has to be mitigated in some way. And that risk can be mitigated in lots of different ways. But the full mitigation is full arm protection. He was very close to the top of that list for very obvious reasons.
So he last had a risk analysis done in 2019, I think.
Yes, that's correct.
At that point, he was, as far as I understand it, the threat against him was so high that he was second in the hierarchy. In terms of the royal family hierarchy, he was second only to the late Queen at that point in 2019.
Up until July 2021. And his risk profile certainly hadn't changed. In fact, it had only increased because of the reasons you've just said.
What's happening with the security concerning Harry and Meghan at this very moment is so sinister and diabolical. For those of you who don't know, Prince Harry and Meghan were supposed to visit the UK next week for the very first time in years with their children. And this is supposed to be kind of like the introduction to the Invictus Games, which will be in Birmingham next year. So right off the bat, the logical person would think, okay, well, these games will be held in the UK. So, of course, security will be provided. But no, that's not the case. Because at the 11th hour, Ravik just pulled the rug from under Harry and Meghan's feet and just took away their security, unless they're at a royal residence. What's so insane about this situation is that even journalists who are typically critical of Harry and Meghan for whatever reason, even they have to call this out. Because it doesn't make sense that the prince of the monarch, the king, has no security. And on top of that, how the hell Taylor Swift, out of all people, have public security over Prince Harry? Please make that make sense. But the only thing that I can think of, those of you who just kind of like casually follow this topic, you've been taught to believe that Harry and Meghan left the UK for privacy. There are all these things, they're nasty people and all that. The truth is, the reason why they don't want Harry and Meghan to come to the UK with security is because of it will expose the numerous lies they have been feeding you all for almost a decade. I think if anything, this most recent trip to Australia has shown us is that what they say is not necessarily the truth. Because the love they got in Australia, I feel is what the love they're going to get in the UK. Do I think there'll be people out there trying to do whatever? Absolutely. But I think the love is way more than what they have led you to believe. And because of that, it cannot overshadow William and Kate. That is the truth. Harry and Meghan's trip with their children in the UK is dangerous. Dangerous for the simple fact it's going to expose the royal family's illusions. They like to pull over people to make you believe things that are just not real. And what's not real is that the hate for Harry and Meghan is overwhelming, because it's not. They don't want you to see that love they're going to get. All those people that's going to be out there waiting for them. They don't want you to see that. And by showing that and exposing that, it's going to make you question a lot. And by the way, what the hell? Why all this energy for Harry and Meghan? Why not all this energy for Andrew and what he was doing on that island with that island man?
All been thinking that treating Prince Harry worse than treating Prince Andrew is starting to look pretty bad for the royal family at this point in time. Now, what's funny is that Harry and Meghan are actually doing the work of royals right now, which is going on a humanitarian trip and basically learning about things and bringing focus and attention to causes in the world that they care about. That is the job that the royal family is supposed to be doing. And remember, these two technically aren't part of the royal family, but they're the only ones doing the job and the work that the royal family should be doing. And I do find that very funny. I find it hilarious, actually, that these two are a better representation of the royal family than the current royal family. All these two wanted was a half-in, half-out solution, and they were not given the grace of that in any way or the respect to have security or to make decisions about their future, or a myriad of other things that we have talked about. And again,
Hello everyone, I had to stop my video to talk to you about this breaking news. Okay, so Sky News said Prince Harry is to stay at Buckingham Palace alone during his visit to the UK. But immediately after, there was an update, and it has Buckingham Palace has denied that Prince Harry will stay at the London landmark when he visits London this week, shortly after the Duke's team said he had accepted an offer to do so. What do you think about that? So Buckingham Palace immediately responded and denied Prince Harry access to Buckingham Palace. The same royal family who couldn't say anything, who stayed mum when they talked about Prince Archie being a monkey, who stayed mum when they attacked Meghan and lied about her and harassed her, who stayed mum about the security arrangements that Harry is fighting for. They had the nerve to come out and deny Prince Harry access to Buckingham Palace. Can you believe that? So I got this from Chris Ship on X, and it says, doesn't look like family relationships are going too well. Despite Prince Harry saying he has accepted an offer to stay at Buckingham Palace for part of this week while he's in the UK, the palace no longer has any rooms at inn. Apparently, Harry did not accept an offer in time. All those damn rooms, they're trying to say that they don't have rooms available for Prince Harry. Didn't they just tell us that the king, there's no one in the royal family that's staying at Buckingham Palace? And now they're saying that they don't have room at the inn for Prince Harry. That's BS. Let me continue what Chris Ship said. He said, it seems that tomorrow's High Court judgment on Harry and others against the publishers of the Daily Mail has made folk nervous at the palace, concerned about the king's constitutional position. It's been deemed inappropriate to have his son stay in a royal residence. Yeah, Chris Ship, I'm shrugging too. So they're concerned about the king's constitutional position. Why don't the king in his constitutional position do something that's good for once when it comes to his younger son and give him the security that he needs? If they don't want him staying at Buckingham Palace, fair enough, we don't give a darn, because we don't want Harry staying there anyway. What we want for Harry to do is to stay with the Spencers. Now, according to Senior Lieutenant Zandy Sussex, she said on X, I'm so happy that Prince Harry has one side of his family that loves him unconditionally and offers him a safe haven rather than the chaos and snake pit at the royal family. And that's exactly what it is, chaos and a snake pit. She went on to say, I hope Harry, Meghan, Archie, and Lily enjoy some peaceful time with the Spencers and get the chance to visit Grandma Diana's resting place. And so do I, because they don't need to be around, Harry's father side of the family. The people, they're over there, they're insecure. They're jealous. They're hateful. They just told the media that they don't have room for Harry because he took too long to let them know if whether he's going to stay with them or not. Let me tell you something. I would find place for my sons to stay, even if we have to pull out a pallet or a blow up mattress. My son is going to have a place to lay his head. So for the royal family to say something like that, pretty much let you know, well, we already know what type of family they are, but they are playing games. They are playing games with the British media, okay? Because they are friends with the British media. And not only that, look at this. Sandringham Royal Horse Event apologizes for flying the Confederate flag. I didn't believe this when I read this, so I had to Google it. And it says, yes, a Confederate flag was displayed on a field during the Sandringham horse driving trials at King Charles's estate in Norfolk. The flag was flown during an evening supper attended by Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh. This is another reason why. This is another reason why Harry do not need to be around these people. Now, they're not mad at Harry. They're mad because Harry married a biracial Black woman and had biracial Black children. And they're mad at Harry because Harry is standing on business. And I can't wait to hear what they have to say about the trial against the Daily Mail. And I hope they win, because if they don't, the whole country is corrupt. Because we all know that the Daily Mail has been tapping, harassing, bullying, gaslighting, and doing everything under the sun for, well, this is before clicks. This has been going on before the internet. And so now King Charles, he has to stay at his, what did they say? Constitutional, I can't remember, some BS, just blowing smoke up our, what. But listen, it's a good thing that Prince Harry is not staying at Buckingham Palace. So everything worked out the way it was supposed to work out. And, we'll see what's going to happen. But until then, I hope you all have a fabulous morning. And I will return with the video that I was putting together before we got the breaking news. Until then, have a fabulous day.